Hi, everybody. I'm Mel Dorr, Chicago psychic medium and intuitive consultant, and I'm so excited today. If you'll remember my last video, when we talked about Vinny Ocean, got his name from the TV show The Sopranos, and he was diagnosed with cancer, and he and Lucky trained together. And I've got his mom with me, Marie Bond, and I'm so excited. Marie's a wonderful teacher and a wonderful mom to Vinny. So, Marie, say hello to everybody.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me on your YouTube channel. This is quite the honor. I'm happy. Please excuse my appearance. I've been up since 3:30 this morning. It's been a long day. So, but I didn't want to miss this. So
Marie's here. She teaches English, I think, and creative writing. Yay. And as I said, Vinny and Lucky trained together. I met Marie. She came to me for a session and she was showing me pictures of her dog. And I was looking for a dog trainer at the time. So she introduced me to her dog trainer, Adam, and we became very good friends, Marie and I and Adam. And unfortunately, Adam lost his life to suicide. And but Marie and I stayed good friends, and we miss Adam daily, of course. Mm-hmm. So anyway, Vinny has got his oh my goodness, Canine Good Citizen. Canine Good Citizen Advanced. He got an urban dog too, right, Marie?
He did get the urban, and then he did the novice. In the trick category, he had the novice, intermediate, and advanced titles as well.
Yeah, we trained together.
Yeah, and that was a lot of fun. We did. That was good, and he thoroughly enjoys training. Like, that's one of the things that I love about him so much, is that he just enjoys learning, like anything. So training him was easy. It was easy, and it was super fun.
So tell us about Vinny. Tell us how you discovered the malignancy. Tell us the story.
So he had just gone in for a checkup not long before this, and everything was fine. And he still appeared to be fine. And around January, well, my cat was. My 14-and-a-half-year-old cat was sick. And so I was like really tending to him and making sure that we were doing everything for him. And so some of the routines or the rituals that I would do with Vinny kind of went to the side for a little while. I would brush his teeth once or twice a week. So I wasn't at that time brushing his teeth at that time, because I was doing so much with the cat. Well, my cat eventually passed on January 29th. And it was shortly after that I noticed that, like, Vinny was sneezing and his eyes were watering, but I just figured, well, maybe it's allergies. I mean, I know it was February, but stranger things have happened. So I actually called the vet, and the vet said, just put him on Benadryl for 5 days. And I said, okay. So after the 5 days, the sneezing wasn't really subsiding all that much. And, so I started brushing his teeth again, and I noticed there was something on his gum line on the upper gum. It was almost like a bump of some sort. So between that and the sneezing, we decided, we need to get this checked out. So I'm not going to wait, because with animals, you just never know. Even the slightest thing could be a big deal. So we took him in, but we were really just thinking it's probably an abscessed tooth, or maybe he's a nose work dog. So maybe he sniffed something while he was working and it got stuck or whatever. And initially that's what the vet had thought too. And she was actually hoping for that. But when the x-rays came back, she was heartbroken to tell us that there was a tumor there, and that's what was blocking the airflow, and that he was struggling. That's why you could hear him snoring at night, because that airway was blocked. So, it was not the news that we were expecting at all. He's a 4.5-year-old golden retriever, and by all other, categories, he's healthy. And I just couldn't believe that I couldn't get it together at all. And that's when I called you right away to tell you what was going on, and that, we were going to have to take a break from training and whatnot until we figured this out a little bit further. But there was a time there before his biopsy that we were just hoping that maybe it was just a tumor that wasn't cancerous by any means. But, I also know the high rate of cancer in Goldens too. So I was cautiously optimistic, but it came back cancer. And it's an osteosarcoma.
I'm sorry?
It's an osteosarcoma of the nose, of the nasal airway, or the bone in here.
So for those of you who don't know, sarcoma is cancer of bone and connective tissue. I'm sorry.
Right. So it literally eats at the bone in the nose. So that's, and it, without treatment, it would obviously just get bigger and bigger and grow to places that would make it very difficult for him to live. So from there, once we figured out it was that, we had to then figure out what we were going to do as far as treatment wise, if any, because some of the vets just said you could just let it go until he's not comfortable anymore, and then you'd have to put him down. Well, after talking to you and just, seeing the kind of life that he has, we figured that in him only being 4.5 years old, we figured that was probably not the best option for him. We wanted to give him a chance. So that's why we went with the stereotactic radiation versus the other protocols.
Explain to everybody what that is, please, the radiation.
So the other options that they gave us was a palliative care, which would be palliative radiation, which was once a week for 4 weeks. And I thought, oh, this is great. They can do a little bit of radiation and that will be good enough. And whatever it is, it is. But the oncologist kind of advised against that because she felt like with this type of cancer, you need something with a little bit more punch to it and kick to it. Yeah. So that was out. And then the other protocol was to do a radiation for 15 days straight. So we live, the animal hospital is in Aurora, and we live about an hour from Aurora. So I couldn't imagine putting him in the car, driving an hour to Aurora, having him put under anesthesia, driving an hour back home, and doing that every day for 15 days. It just seemed like a lot on him. And he's kind of I don't want to say an anxious dog, but I just didn't feel like that would be so great for him. And with that type of radiation, it kind of goes all over the face. So the side effects for that were a lot different. They were potentially more. And then the last protocol was the stereotactic radiation, which is a newer kind of therapy for cancer and nasal cancer. And the machines that they have there at VCA are amazing. They're millions and millions of dollars, these machines. But the stereotactic pinpoints the radiation exactly where the tumor is. So it's not getting all over the face necessarily. It's getting just to that area where the tumor is. And with that type of radiation, you either have 3 sessions or 5. There's no in between. So with the way that the tumor was both in his nose and on the palate in his mouth, the doctor wanted to do 5 sessions. So it was 5 sessions every other day. So it was a Monday, Wednesday, Friday, then again on a Monday and Wednesday. So tomorrow will mark 2 weeks since his last radiation session, and he goes in to see the doctor at VCA for a checkup so she can just kind of see how things are going since then.
Now, what is VCA?
VCA, I'm not sure what it stands for, but VCA, they're all over the place. A lot of different animal hospitals are linked to VCA, but the actual hospital is in Aurora. And a lot of the people that we talked to that had experience with VCA had a lot of great things to say. And as of this point right now, I can concur with that. The doctor that we're working with is super responsive. Like I could email her tonight and she'll get back to me. She may even call me back tonight because I had a question tonight. But anytime I call her, she answers, she gets back to us. And so for somebody with so much of a caseload, she's one of the only oncologists and radiologists in this area. So she gets a lot of dogs and cats coming in. And she said,
Vinny's one of the sweetest dogs on the planet.
I know. And that's what it makes it even more heartbreaking. In fact, after his last radiation session, I talked to her after the session before picking him up. I didn't know this was going on before, but she told me that before each session in the treatment room, he would go around and hug everybody. He would hug the doctors, the vet techs, her before his treatment. Then they would have the treatment. And then shortly after the treatment, when he would wake up for anesthesia and feel more like himself, he would go around and hug everybody again. He's just a hugger. He's super sweet. And it just, it was like hard to hear that because of an animal being so sweet and so loving, even in the face of like radiation and being in a hospital, he's still hugging everybody. But it also speaks volumes to that hospital too, because he felt comfortable enough to do that with them.
So the first time I met him, he doesn't like certain people to walk him on the leash. And Ray said he doesn't really like it if you walk him on the leash. And I said, okay. But then all of a sudden, before the session was over, I'm walking him on the leash and we're buddies.
Right. Yeah. I mean, for as sweet as a dog as he is, he does he could be a little cautious as far as who he trusts and who he doesn't. And he's smart enough to know that whoever's holding that leash is in control of him. So he doesn't like when people he doesn't know or trust holds on to that leash. So I have to tell people that are like, they don't know, if I take him to the groomer or whatnot and they grab his leash, I'm like, yeah, I better just walk him back there because he doesn't really know you. So, I'm kind of glad that he's not so just
Well, I think
trusting.
there's an energy transmitted through the leash they hook into, and they
For
know,
sure.
he's the kind of dog that you can't strong arm. It just doesn't work with him. And if he hooks
No.
that control, that strong arm energy intuitively, he's like, like screw you.
Right. And we've had that issue with him since he was 5 months old
He's strong,
because
he's highly intuitive, and he hooks into that.
he absolutely does. And he had to be trained differently than probably other dogs because of that, because he's so intuitive and he hooks into people's energies. It couldn't just be anybody that trained him. It had to be somebody.
We know what our dogs are feeling, or our pets. It's that first thought, that first thing that comes through.
Yeah.
I knew right away, and then you told me, and I just dropped the leash. I think I gave him a treat or something, and I just
Right.
picked it up gently. Come on, Ben, and we were fine after that.
Oh, he was totally fine. And now it's fine ever since then. I mean, and I appreciate his intuitiveness for that. And it also makes me realize now that we're in this situation, that because they're so intuitive, they can also pick up on how we're feeling. So when we first found out, and I was heartbroken about all this, my husband told me, you can't cry in front of him. You can't let him see you this heartbroken. I'm like, oh my God, what do you mean? Like, how do I not show this?
Well, actually, you can, because then their intuition kicks in and they want to help when we're upset. So then his focus is on trying to calm you down as opposed to what's going on with him.
Right. And he does such a great job with that, is trying to calm me down. He's always been that way. If I'm having a bad day, he's relentless about following me around, making sure that I'm okay. In fact, the night that we found out, it was a Friday night, March 5th. He had fallen asleep downstairs on his bed. And so, we went upstairs and I was laying in bed, and it hit me that, oh my God, this is horrible. And is he going to survive? Is he going to be okay? And all those things. And I just started crying just a little bit. Like, it wasn't like I was wailing by any means, but he must have sensed it, because he came flying up the stairs, jumped on the bed, and he laid right next to me until I fell asleep.
That's how we train dogs for emotional support dogs.
Yeah.
We do that. So
Yeah.
I say we because we're both trainers.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. And we learn a lot from our dogs during those training sessions, for sure.
I
Even
remember when they were getting their Canine Good Citizen Advanced. And so for those of you at home, it's just, you can look it up. They have to do 10 things, but it gets progressively harder. And we're not allowed to give the dog a correction. A correction is when the dog is, they got their collar on. And if you pull the lead a little bit and say, no, you cannot do that. And that was hard for me. So I remember we had our dogs on a down stay. But before the test started, the trainer, Angela De Palma, was wonderful. Hi, Angela. She let us go through it a couple of times, and she brought her dog. And I had people there, remember, because I think you're supposed to have people there to walk through a crowd or something. Remember, I had Eva and Gary, my husband.
Right. Almost like you need a witness, you need somebody there to sign off, but then you also need a distraction.
Right. And you cannot use treats at all. But what Marie and I did, the dog worked well for hot dogs. I said, let's rub the hot dog smell on our hands.
Oh, yeah.
So the dog, that's legal. You can do that. So the dog will pay attention to our hands and walk loosely.
Right. At least to get them, use of what you want them to do without them being a treat. It's like that next step away from the treats.
But once we were in the test, they were fine. But I remember calling Lucky, and she showed off, remember? And they put a backpack in the middle of the room. You have to call the dog.
Yes. Yes.
And they're supposed to walk past it. Well, normally Lucky does, and she walked right up to it, like, and I said, can we reset this? She said, no problem. Then I remember they had to do a down stay while Marie and I were filling out the paperwork. And so we had Gary and Eva, but Eva didn't know you can't distract the dog. So she's coming up, hi, Lucky. hi, Vinny. But the
You're like,
dogs,
no,
I look, I go, no, no. Remember, the dogs didn't move. They were like, no, they
no, they did really good,
Yep.
which is a testament to their training and just to them as canines too.
I think the hardest one was the long sit. They have to sit, and you put them on
Mhm.
a sit, stay for like 2 or 3
Mhm.
minutes, and they want to go down. And it's like, no. But
No.
Angela's really good because if they screwed up once, she would give us 2 or 3 tries. So, but Marie and I were both so nervous. And so the dogs were picking up on that. And Angela told us to put a cough drop in our mouth. Remember?
Mm,
Because a lot of times the
yeah.
dog can smell your smell and they know you're nervous. So I've got these
Yeah,
cough drops. I'm giving them to Marie. I've got
I
one.
know. Yeah, you would have thought we were jacked up on,
Oh my God.
medication from a cold, and it was nothing like that at all. And that was something that I didn't know, but that they can, I mean, dogs are so amazing that they can pick up not only on how you're feeling on the other end of that leash, but then they can physically sense how you're feeling too. And I think that's why dog training is more complicated than people even realize, because I think a lot of people get puppies and they figure, oh, well, I'll just train it. But if you're nervous on the other end of that leash and you're trying to train the dog, that's what they pick up on. And that's, I think, where sometimes you can get to a crossroads where you're not really growing with the
That's
training
why we
because,
say we teach dogs and we train the owners.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, Adam would always say, that the dogs were never the problems. It was the owners that were the problem, not in a bad way, but just that he spent more time kind of getting them to calm down and be in a relaxed state. I found that later, after I found like the art of meditation and whatnot, I found that if you meditate before you go do a training session and you're in a better place, in a high vibe place, I got better results in that regard. Which I don't know if there's any merit to that or if it's all in
Oh,
my head.
I
But
think there's merit to it. Adam used to tell me, Mel, you've got to slow down with the dog because I talk too much. And I would be like saying the same thing over and over. And then Angela told
yeah,
me the same thing. And pretty soon, if you're telling the dog the same command, like sit, 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 it just
yeah.
loses it
It's
loses.
like the teacher in Charlie Brown. Wah, 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 wah. That's what you become to the dog because they're like, okay, I heard you. And I learned with that was if you give them the command once and you wait it out. Like my students, I'll tell them, I want you to get this book out. And then some of them don't do it. And I just sit there and I wait. And eventually they look around and they're like, oh yeah, that's what I'm supposed to do. So it's the same thing with dogs. The more you repeat it, the more it just becomes white noise. But I didn't know that.
I mean, I've got ADD, and so it's really good to learn dog training when you've got ADD because you have to learn not to say too much and be consistent with the commands. And Adam used to tell me, slow down. The dog's tuning into your energy. And as I got
Yeah.
more ADD, she would. So,
And what else was interesting too that I learned with him? It was interesting because, well, him and Vinny were very, very connected.
oh, totally.
Vinny and Adam are soul connected for sure. That's why Vinny was in Adam's book. Before he passed, Adam wrote a book and he did a chapter on Vinny. But Adam taught Vinny how to speak on command without even teaching him with a command. I remember it like it was yesterday, and I wish I had it on video. It was pure magic, but also pure energy and intention, where he looked at Vinny and they were making eye contact, and all Adam did was kind of nod his head like that, and Vinny spoke. He barked, and he gave him a treat, and that's how he learned that command. There was no like speak. Oh, here's a treat. It was that focus that they had on each other and the slightest bit of a head nod, and that's what taught him how to speak. And I asked him, I said, how did you do that? Like, that's pure magic. And he said, no, it's the intent behind what you're doing. Dogs always pick up the intent. So even if you tell your dog to sit, but let's say you use another word like crayon, if the intent behind that word is for them to sit, they'll sit.
The intent has to be.
I saw him do that with multiple dogs, but
Um,
he was also a very gifted trainer. So I don't know that I would have that same magic.
I think you do. He had a way with dogs. Remember teaching Lucky, I wanted her to get her Canine Good Citizen advanced, but he didn't really evaluate for that or train for it. And he was like, I said, I want her to be a therapy dog. And he said, no, why don't you just make her a service dog to help you with your hearing? And I
Yeah.
remember like looking at the commands they needed. And one was to go under a chair, like if they go on an airplane. And so we trained her in German because when she's working, and if somebody says the command I'm saying in English, then it distracts her. So the command
Mm-hmm.
was unter, which means under. And he had her doing it like that. I sent you the video
Mhm.
of it. It's pretty amazing.
Mhm. Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
And then it
It's
was
pretty amazing.
after Adam passed away because he stopped training for a while. You met Angela, and that's where we
Mhm.
started with Canine Good Citizen. She said she's read. I'm like, I don't know. And then Canine Good Citizen Advance, and then Urban Dog and Trick Training. So we were doing it all simultaneously, plus scent work. So we were doing a lot of stuff.
There was a lot. I mean, there was a time, like if I look back on my calendar, I mean, it was every night it was something. It's either we were training at Kreiser's or we were training at your office, or I was taking them to that place, Canine, for your Canine in Elmhurst to do evening scent work. I mean, that dog had a packed schedule. And so now that we're not doing, and if it wasn't training, then I was taking him to Splash Dogs and Displays. What up, Splash Dogs? And he would go swimming twice a week there too. They have a pool just for dogs, and a lot of dogs go there for like rehabilitation. But so I just took him there just to get him to exercise and get
So to
active.
everybody out there, if you
Now
haven't,
there's nothing.
you've got to really dedicate yourself to keep the dog busy because that's why they get destructive if they get bored. Like when COVID happened, Lucky got depressed because she comes to work with me and she was getting all these tummy rubs, and then we had to stop
Yeah,
training. And she was
yeah,
so busy, and then all of a sudden, nothing. And it was like,
nothing. That's I kind of feel like that's how it is now with Vinny, where he's so used to running here, running there, and now we're not doing anything. And I'm hoping that after treatment and whatnot, the hope is that he'll be able to go back to certain things with caution. We'll see. Um,
when we found out that Vinny was sick and that was cancer, um, I'll let you tell the story, but Marie sent me this. His name is Vinny Ocean, as I said, from The Sopranos. So here's Vinny Ocean,
yes.
and then Make Vinny Strong. And so I put one on my YouTube channel, I think a couple weeks ago. But Marie, tell us about like how this lady took pictures of Vinny for her products, and then how this has really almost gone viral, this whole Make Vinny Strong movement.
So my niece got me to make an Instagram page for him like a year ago during COVID. And I was like, oh, this is silly. Like, I'm not going to make an Instagram page. Like, I'm not going to be one of those people worried about how many people follow him and this and that, because it's a big thing in the dog community. But I thought, you know what, for anything, at least I'd have like a digital place where all of his photos were uploaded, or just kind of like memories and whatnot. And so I started the page, and we made some friends on there. And he ended up getting, some good amount of followers, whatever. But then when we found out in March, I didn't want to go on there and post anymore. It was just too hard to go onto his page and see all of these other dogs. And I got angry, like, why is my dog sick? He's 4.5 years old. And there's dogs on here that are 12 and 13 and they're living the good life. Not that I wouldn't want anything bad to happen to them, but that's not what I'm saying. But it was just too hard. So I figured, well, that's it. I'm not going to go on there anymore. But then about a month or 3 weeks later, I started getting emails from people, or like private messages on there, asking, where are you guys? Why haven't you guys posted in a month? And I figured at that point I better like tell them. So I made a post just explaining it, thinking nobody really cares, but I better just explain it to some people. And that's how all of this started. The overwhelming amount of support from all of these people that they're complete strangers to me. I've never met them in person, but we've interacted a lot on, through his social media. And I mean, we were getting emails and private messages on there. People were sending him stuffed animal, like the stuffed animals. Like, I come home from work and there would be like a box on my porch from Amazon, and people were sending him things and well wishes. And so one of the followers, her golden at one point had cancer too. And she said, what we did is we created these bracelets for her dog that said Enzo Strong on it. And she said, you'll never underestimate the power of positive energy. And so it was either her or one of the other ladies took a picture from Vinny's Instagram and posted it on her page and tagged it with Vinny Strong. And so then other people saw that and they took it from their page and they posted it on theirs and said, go follow our friend Vinny. And they told the story, and one thing led to another, and more people started to follow him and tag it with Vinny Ocean Strong, or Vinny Strong, or We Are Vinny Strong. So I was so humbled by the amount of support by
But
all of these people.
what about the story about the lady who had her pet products and she took pictures of Vinny to show her bandanas, and now she's got something?
Yes. So ironically, last summer, a girl that, again, I didn't know who she was, but we became friends on Instagram through his page. She's a hard worker. She's got like two other jobs, and she decided that she wanted to open up her own Etsy shop, and the Etsy shop would sell like dog bandanas, or danas they call them. And so she was looking for dog models to model her stuff and kind of get her business up and running. She contacted me and said, can we use Vinny? And I said, oh, of course, sure. And but she said, you're not like going to get paid. It's not a paid advertisement or anything. And I said, that's fine. I just wanted to help her get her business started because I was so fascinated by the fact that she's so creative and she comes up with these super cute bandanas and bow ties. So we had so much fun getting her up and started with her business, and the business is really taken off. She's off of Etsy now, and she's completely on her own in an LLC. It's called the Barks of Bentley. So all summer we had fun modeling her bandanas that she would make for dogs, and she made him, as of August, she made him a permanent ambassador for her company. So he will always be able to model her merchandise. Well, she also has a golden retriever named Bentley, same age as Vinny. And when I found this out, I had to tell her, like, we're not going to be modeling for a while. This is what happened. The most unbelievable act of compassion. She said, well, I am going to make a canine cancer awareness collection of bandanas and t-shirts and bow ties.
Hold that thought for just a second. I'm going to pause the recording because you're kind of cutting in and out. So let me just pause the recording for a second, okay?
Okay.
Hi, everybody. We're back. We had a little technical glitch. Hopefully it's fixed. Marie was freezing. So what is your friend's name that started the bandana?
Her name is Callie, Kali, and the name of her company is The Barks of Bentley, after her golden retriever Bentley.
So if they go on there, they can see Vinny's sweatshirts and t-shirts.
Oh yeah. If you go on her website, thebarksofbentley.com, I think it's .com. One of the first collections on there is the Canine Cancer Awareness collection, and then also part of that is the Vinny Strong. She's also put together a virtual walk to help raise awareness for canine cancer and for Vinny's story as well.
Now I know that's $45. Now where does that money go? Tell me where that money goes.
So she put it together. I had nothing to do with this. I told her she didn't have to worry about this. Like, don't worry. And she was like, oh no, I absolutely insist. I want to help you guys. So for that $45, what she does is she signs you up, and she'll send you like a t-shirt, a bandana for your dog if you want one, a key fob, and some like a ribbon or something for a key fob, and then another item. And then the proceeds she would like to send to us to help us cover the cost of his treatment. But I told her, I said, no, I feel I don't want to take anybody's money. I said, I think it's much better suited if you donated that to a bigger kind of cause that would help all canines. And one of the causes is there's a few of them. So if she does end up sending me the proceeds for that, I do plan on donating that to either some type of foundation where they're studying this canine research, or also I'd like to give back and send it to a foundation where people who can't afford the treatment. I know there's a place called Silver Bullet, I think that's the name of it, my friend told me about, where parents who are faced with this type of diagnosis and they may not have the funds to cover it. They contact those organizations like that, and those organizations will help them pay for it. So if she does end up sending me the proceeds, I do plan on then donating it back to something much larger.
So if any of you out there want to make a donation for canine cancer, or to help Vinny, don't send money, but what you do is you make a donation to an organization that will help pay for treatment for dogs and that whose owners can't afford it.
And even going on the Barks of Bentley, well, not only does that help support small business, because in this day and age with everything, but more importantly, where all that goes will go to, like you were saying, somebody to a foundation that will help other parents help them with their needs.
And the other thing is, I remember mentioning about Vinny on YouTube, and then I think it was last week or the week before I talked about how Lucky and Vinny met, and I went through the whole backstory. And then I talked about Vinny, and Marie's told me that there have been people from all over the world California, all over, sending Vinny healing energy and all kinds of the outpouring of love and energy is absolutely amazing.
And not just that, but like from your followers here on YouTube, I read through the comments, and I just want to say thank you to all of you who not only started following Vinny, but also for all of the good energy that you've been sending him. Like I said, I read through the comments and I was so touched and humbled when I was reading them. I was at my desk at work, just like kind of crying, because I never expected people to care enough to stop what they were doing and send him good energy. I have to believe on some level that that's going to help him. I mean, I really hope so. And the Vinny
cat in the background, another cool.
Oh, that's my cat Amici.
Hi, baby.
The Vinny Strong bracelets, I mailed them out to, I mean, another batch yesterday. Some went to Canada, one went to Germany, one went to Hawaii, one went to New York, one Florida, Arkansas.
So if you decide to order the Vinny Strong bracelet, Marie pays for that postage out of her own pocket. So maybe you can just do something to help. She's not asking for this, but just for the cost of the shipping.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even want to know how much the shipping's been, but I just look at it like, if people care enough to wear the bracelet or to even put it somewhere where they can look at it and think of him and that he's important enough for that, I can cover the cost of shipping. I think on one that went to Canada, I think the cost of the shipping to Canada cost more than the bracelet itself, but to me, it doesn't matter. I'm so happy people are thinking of them.
Now, the other thing I had said on my show is that any people who would follow me on Instagram and on YouTube, but would also follow Vinny on Instagram, then we'll have Vinny pull a name out of a hat. So we're not ready to do the drawing yet. And so when we do the drawing, I'll announce it. And, you know, we can teach dogs to hold things in their mouth. So we'll have Vinny pull the name. Now, you know, Marie, a lot of people tell me they don't have Instagram. All right. So some of my followers don't. All right. But I got some. So is there a way people can email you in case they don't have Instagram?
Yes. I'm just not sure which I have an email that I had set up that was just kind of, but forgive me, because I use it just for like stuff like this, but I think I could find it. I want to say, I know it's Little Paw, like little, and then PAW, like a little paw, but I don't know if I put 79 or not after it. So I'll have to find out and let you know. I don't want to give people the wrong email address and then somebody out there is going to have the wrong address and getting all these emails.
I'll put it at the bottom when we're finished. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So now, if you want to go to Vinny's page on Instagram, how do they do that?
So if you do have Instagram, you can go on to Instagram and find ITS Vinny, VINNY Ocean, OCEAN. It's Vinny Ocean. And then you can follow him. And you can also, if you still want a bracelet or just send him good energy, you can send me a message on there too. I really enjoy reading everybody's messages who have reached out. And I thank you so much. Like, I'm just so humbled by all of that people took the time, not only just to follow him, but also to send me a message and let us know that you were thinking of him. So that's just been.
Or what you can do is in the comments on my YouTube page.
Yeah.
Please just make a comment and Marie will read them and let you know. Also, many of you know that my videos get monetized. We do get paid a little bit for each video we put up. But for the money that I get from today, I'm going to donate that, all right, to an organization for canine cancer or Silver Bullet or one of those. I'll talk to you about it, Marie, and we'll figure it out.
Yeah, that would be so amazing.
And it'll be donated in Vinny's name. Now I'm just curious, have you noticed any kind of, like with the healing energy and the love that's being sent, have you noticed it helping, not helping? What have you noticed with it, with all this love and energy people are sending?
I have to say, like, everything, and the reason why he's not on the video today, I was planning on having him like sit next to me like he always is, but prior to today, I have to say that you would never really know that he was going through anything. I mean, he has those shave spots on his arm where they, have to shave it to like take blood or whatever, or to give him the anesthesia. But you'd never really know that he was going through anything. And last Thursday, I was telling Mel, I went to go take him for a walk in the evening. It was a really nice night out. And I turned to go home, and like he knows the path going home, and he like dug his heels and he did not want to go home, which he's always kind of done that anyway, but he didn't want to go home. So I said, okay, we'll keep walking. And we went to go turn down another street, and he took off in a mad dash, like just wanted to run and run and run, like gallop. And I was so grateful. My heart was so filled with happiness at that moment, because I was happy for him that he felt well enough to run. I mean, this was after 5 rounds of radiation, and he was on painkillers and stuff, and he just wanted to run, and he was feeling good. And even after that 2 long spurts of wanting to run, I went to go take him home, and he still didn't want to go home. I had to like coax him to come in the backyard, and then he wanted to play in the backyard. And shortly after that, it rained over here. We had like a short thunderstorm, and after the thunderstorm, there was this beautiful rainbow. And I was so hopeful that, like, you know, and everybody must have seen that rainbow, so it clearly wasn't just for us. But I was very hopeful, and everything. You know, there were some side effects, like, and still kind of are, where his eyes kind of run a little bit. They're watery, even though that seemed to be better today. But I was telling Mel before this interview, um, he's limping today, and I don't know if he kind of maybe jumped off the bed wrong or something. I don't know. So I'm worried about that now. It's like one thing leads to another. So he's not feeling himself today.
The long-term effects of radiation therapy is it can cause lethargy. And if he's lethargic today, maybe he's limping because of where they put the needle or the cannula in. Maybe it's still sore from that or something, you think?
Maybe, but you know, he did have his nails trimmed on Saturday, but Sunday and
something.
maybe, but Sunday he was fine. He went on walks with me, and he was seemingly fine. But it was basically yesterday and today that I noticed that, and we, you know, we noticed now that he's limping with it. So the good news is he does go in for a checkup tomorrow with his oncologist and radiologist. And so maybe I'll have them look at that. But now I'm worried about that. So to answer your question, do we notice an effect from all of the prayers and energy? Yes, because I really, truly believe that all of those positive vibes were coming to him. What happened yesterday, today, I don't know. But now that's why I'm a mess today.
Asking my guys as we're talking, and they're telling me if he seems a little bit more lethargic tonight, or the limp gets worse, you know, it could be the gabapentin he's on for the pain, but it could be an effect from the radiation. Sometimes it can cause a little swelling in that tissue. But if he gets more lethargic and the limp gets worse, clearly take him in tonight to the emergency vet and see what they have to say.
Right. Yes. Oh, for sure. I'm hoping not to do that, because this poor dog, it's like, I just want him to catch a break here, and I don't know. So we'll have to keep you guys updated. But that's why he's not in the video with me, because I just want him. He's just kind of not himself today. But prior to that, I mean, he was doing wonderful and enjoying all of his toys and his food and everything. So I hope he's okay.
Well, what I'll do is when we're done, you know, I'll save this. It'll save on my computer, and then I've got a picture of him, and I'll put in the lead in so everybody can see his picture.
Yeah.
But I got to tell this story. Every time Angela would go to take a picture of Lucky and Vinny, or Vinny and Lucky, you know, they were sitting there really nice, and then right when she would take the picture, they'd both start panting, and they would photobomb.
I know. I know.
There with their tongues.
Because it showed they were happy pups.
They were.
No.
Angela goes, they're photobombing me.
In their most perfect way too.
I just remember how so nervous we were, and then after everything, it was going like, we shouldn't have been nervous. That was a piece of cake, right?
No, it was easy because the dogs made it easy. You
Yeah.
know, and I don't know why we were nervous. They were the ones that were getting tested. You know.
You know, the dogs always make it look easy. We're the ones that screw it up.
Yeah. We're the ones that make them nervous, and we kind of throw them off. But
you know,
they have no idea.
One of the things you emailed today is like, what about canine cancer causes? I think a lot of it's environmental. I think some of it's genetic. I remember our dog Radar. My nephew had sprayed Roundup in my mother's yard in Kentucky, and he used to take the dogs. And, you know, they're like, oh, after 2 or 3 weeks, it won't hurt anything. And he put it on the driveway, and there was some dry weeds. And I just noticed Radar walking through that. I'm like, no. And then it was about my mother died in 2012, and then 6 months later, I'm sorry, 2016, and then like 6 months later, our dog died. She just stopped eating, but she had leukemia or lymphoma. They didn't know which. And I think it was from that Roundup. So if you have dogs, be really careful about what you're putting on your lawn, and don't let the dogs eat that, you know.
Or even, and like True Green too. I know even if you don't use True Green, I don't know if I can say that. But any type of like lawn care services, even if you don't use those on your lawn, you don't know what your neighbors and stuff are using on theirs, and you can't fault them for wanting a nice lawn. But it's like you just have to be so careful what they do. And then when you come home from the walk, it's not just wiping their paws off. It's to the point now where you almost need to soak their paws with this stuff called betadine. I think that's what it's called, to get in between the crevices and the nails and whatnot, so that you're really getting rid of all of whatever they may have stepped in, because, you know, they walk around on that stuff and then they lick it and they ingest it. And so too much of it, or they're sniffing it, which is what I think happened with Vinny. Because the breeder where I had gotten him from, I did a lot of research, and she's an amazing breeder. She's well known, and she's been breeding for a long time. And he's only, from what she tells me, the second pup in 10 years of breeding that's had any type of cancer. And so when I hear that, it makes me feel heartbroken, because I think, well, then I must have done something to screw this up. Like, even though
we have a rule.
Oh yes, I know. I forgot.
So we don't beat ourselves up. I think you've done everything humanly possible for Vinny, short of greasing your butt with Crisco and sliding off the road sideways. You do that as well. I got you to laugh, huh?
Yeah, that's my favorite saying that you say.
I've got my Melisms, you know. I think people.
Yes, you do.
But you're the one that got me to feeding. I've always fed Lucky high-end dog food, but I started feeding her. I guess I can say this if I can't, too bad. The people, I had said farm fresh before, but it was the farmer's dog, and it comes frozen. There's only one problem. I don't have a lot of room in my freezer. Now it's full of Lucky's food and it looks good.
Well, you know, we have the same issue. We have the frozen raw food, and it's through Darwin's,
Right.
Darwin's your pet food. But we had to get like a separate freezer, you know, those like standalone freezers just for his food, because I didn't have enough room in my freezer. So we just got like those little standalone ones, and that's where all of his food goes.
I told Gary, I said, we're going to have to buy like a cheap freezer to put in the basement for Lucky's food.
Yes, I'm telling you, that's probably the best way to do it.
It was a good way to clean up my freezer. I had stuff in there. I'm like, ooh, how long has that been in there? You know, it's all this great organic food, and we got to deal with the GMOs and crap they put in our food. But
I know. Well,
yeah. I think it's virtually impossible to rule out all toxins, environmental toxins, because there's so many. But, you know, we can try really hard to minimize them, you know. But I think Vinny's was probably more genetic. And I don't think it's anything you've done wrong. I just think it's genetic, and something turns it on. In his case, I think so. Because you're like one of the best and most,
thank you.
What's the word I'm looking for? Health conscious pet owners that I know. And so, you know,
that was because
dogs.
Yeah, I mean, he gets more attention to what I give him than probably I pay attention to what I'm eating. But my first golden, we lost our first golden. She was 9. She just turned 9, and she died 4 days after that from cancer. But with her, what's that?
Was it sarcoma?
It was a cancer of the bone.
That's sarcoma.
Yeah, and but it was in her leg, and we think then that it spread to other parts of her body. But this was a dog that we had gotten, you know, long before health benefits for dogs, you know, like raw food and supplements and all this other stuff. So we were not feeding her. I can't say we were feeding her like great food. We did the best we could, but we didn't know. And here I got her from a pet store. And I wasn't feeding her like high end food.
But you don't know what it goes to from a pet store. You know, a lot of that dog food that came from China, like calls dogs high. And I think we should lobby to make them label what they put in pet food. For
sure. And there's a movie by Dr. Karen Becker, and our vet, Dr. Royal. I'm blessed to have Dr. Royal in Chicago, so close by. Her and Dr. Becker. Hi, everybody. Dr. Royal. She she's well known in the vet world too. They made a movie called Pet Fooled, Fooled, Pet Fooled. And I think you can get it on Netflix, or I'm not sure where, but that's one of the reasons why after we lost our first golden to cancer, I told myself, my next dog's going to I'm going to make sure I do all my research, and I'm going to do everything right this time. And so part of that research was learning about the benefits of raw food or feeding raw food. And I know not everybody agrees with it. And everybody has they do what they can and will for their pet, but that's, and then I took him to Dr. Royal and all that stuff. So I thought that making those decisions would prevent him from facing this, especially at 4.5 years old. And now I realize that, like you said, you can't control any of it. You can do the best you can, but it's not in our hands.
It is what it is. But you brought up an interesting point, because I had Marie emails me some stuff maybe to talk about. And she says, is there a wrong way to send energy? I don't think so. I think as long as we're sending energy and we fill it with an emotion, because healing energy and psychic energy is fueled by an emotion, as long as we're, the intent is to help Vinny or whomever, I don't think there's a wrong way to do it. There's several ways to do it, but I don't think there is a wrong way, unless you're sending energy to somebody like hoping bad things for them. That's not cool.
No.
So there's no wrong way. The other thing I wanted to touch on is, now I know you go to a holistic vet and you've got the other vets. How do they feel about the healing energy that's being sent? I mean, if I were a vet, I would say do whatever it takes,
Yeah.
So how do they feel about, what we're doing online and all this positive, loving energy we're sending for Vinny?
I think it depends on the person. Like one of the vets is more like, oh, that's cute. And she's also the vet that doesn't agree. Like when I told her, he's going to go back on some of his supplements like CBD oil and he's mushrooms and some other supplements that help with like liver support and immunity. She said, well, I don't think any of that's going to help afterwards. But Dr. Royal, who, she kind of works with holistic and Western medication, she looks at it like we have to treat the whole body. So after radiation, of course, giving an animal or a human or whatnot supplements and whatnot to help build up the immunity would be good for the animal or the human. And so I think I think it just depends on the person, but they certainly appreciate everybody's effort to help him.
Well, I think there's no way to test that. If the longevity is this for this type of cancer, and if you give them that much longevity, then obviously things are working, right?
Well, yes. Dr. Royal had said, there's no rules when it comes to cancer and certain diseases. So don't allow yourself to believe whatever timeline that could be attached to it, because the timeline could be right, but it could also not be. And there are stories of people and animals that had a timeline that was incorrect, and God willing, and they're still here, even with that diagnosis. I'm hoping that for Vinny, but it's very hard. Sometimes I find myself wanting to believe in that, like I'm going to believe in, and I really do, but then I also have to make sure I don't fall into that like delusional trap either. I have to keep some form of reality, I think. I don't know.
I know enough about science to know the prognosis for canine sarcoma, but I also believe that everything we're doing and everything you're doing will help. It might not cure, but if it brings it kind of to a halt or prolongs Vinny's life and gives quality to his life, then that is an outcome we want, right?
Well, yes. And that's, I pray for him that he'll have length to his life, but the quality is there too. If at any point the quality of his life is diminished, that's not fair to him. But he is such a vibrant dog, and he's got so much life, and so many people just support and love him, that I'm really hoping that he can enjoy his life again and feel good. Now this thing with his paw, up until that point, I was really thinking, okay, we're taking it day by day, and he's right on track for what we expected. And now we have this. So now I'm not sure what's going on. And this has just been such an emotional roller coaster. It's really hard to stay focused. But for him, like you said, if we can prolong his life and it could be the quality of life, that would just be so amazing.
Well, I think it's all about the quality as well, you know.
Mhm.
So anyway, you brought up another one about, the synchronicity. It means there's no such thing as coincidence, and how animals are brought into our lives. I think they're put there for a reason, and that's, to help others and to help us,
Mhm.
actually. I think they're angels with fur, and unfortunately, they're not with us long enough. Uh,
Mhm.
but my guides tell me you'll always have dogs. There's always room in our heart for other animals, and so I'm just so excited to be able to talk to you. And I want to thank everybody out there who has sent so much healing love and energy to Vinny.
Mhm.
It's just amazing, and so keep
It's amazing.
pouring coming, please.
Oh yes, especially in these, now like I said, I don't know what's going on, but I'm so happy that you have me on your channel and on this video, not only just because I adore you and Lucky and Gary, but
Feelings are
also
okay.
because um, but because everybody, like, reading through the comments, were so supportive, and I just want to say thank you to everybody. It really, really means a lot that so many people just reached out and took the time to put those comments on there, because Mel knows how much I was. I mean, he was calling me every day, checking in, because I was just not in a good place at all. But we have found comfort in a lot of people's support, both on your channel and on Instagram. And I don't know that I would have been able to get this far through this journey without all of that.
Well, I'm
So
sure people following my stuff will continue to send that support. Everybody, please subscribe. And you know, the names are going in. Like, if you don't have Instagram, then you could just leave a comment section. And everybody that's commented so far, all the names are going in the hat. So,
yes,
uh,
for
so
sure.
the free 1 hour session. And when I get to 10,000 subscribers, I'm going to give away 3 free half-hour sessions. But the hour session is
Wow.
Vinny. And like I said, the money that I make from this video, I will donate to the Vinny cause.
Oh, it's just amazing. I mean, oh my gosh, this is just so amazing. And I think too, we all go through something in our lives to help other people. It's just, I told Mel at this point, I wish I could take it from him and that I would be the one going through it and not him. But, if his story could help inspire other people, or just so that somebody else out there may not feel so alone, um, then part of it, I guess, is worth it, but I still want to keep him around.
Of course, we want to keep them around, but it is an inspiring story. It's a human interest story, and it's a dog interest story. A lot of my videos are political, and I'll probably put one up tomorrow night about politics, but I still, from time to time, want to do these human interest stories, because I just had to take a break from the politics a little bit, all the negativity going on, and all the dissension, and all the anarchy, and the polarity, and all the big lies hanging around out there. I thought it would just be nice to do something where, regardless of what our beliefs are, our politics, that we could all come together in this healing, loving way. And I think Vinny is demonstrating how he's pulled all of us together for
Mm-hmm.
healing and love. It's directed
Mm-hmm.
at him, but look at the miracle of that.
Yes. I mean, truly, that's one dog, and he's just one of many, but one dog can pull so many people together. And I am not surprised that he would be the one to do that, because he's always just had a very special vibe about him. Anybody who meets him or sees him on the street, they'd stop to talk, to us, or hug him or whatever. But I just wish that the circumstances were different, but
Or
I
people
guess.
make a donation to no kill shelters. And if you live in a state where they do have kill shelters, lobby your congressperson, say, we will not tolerate murdering innocent animals anymore. I mean, look at the joy and how many people
Mhm.
he has helped, and how many people Lucky has helped. And look at
For
how
sure.
it brought us, again, all together. And so,
And
uh,
and not just that too. I mean, even the cats that are in these shelters too.
exactly.
When my cat
It's all
passed
about
away,
cats, dogs, horses, any kind of critter
every.
that's
Yes. they all need us to be their voice, and it's overwhelming how many of them need help. But even if it's just something that you do, if everybody does a little something, I really do think it makes a difference.
I agree. Marie, I'm going to call it quits. Not call it quits. We're going to sign off. It has been my pleasure having you on. I want to have you on again. I mean,
Yes, for sure.
go on forever.
We get together and we talk. We talk for hours, so I'm sure.
And we just go nonstop. No, I
thank you for having
me like 10 questions, things she wanted to talk about, but I knew, and Marie, you were kind of nervous about it, but I knew that once we got together, we would just play that energy and just let it evolve. So
yeah, I was super nervous, but this was good because it got me kind of out of my mind frame where I was at prior to this. So this was good. And I told Mel I always enjoy watching his videos because he's just got such a good vibe in his videos, and he's calming. So this was very helpful. And it gave me the opportunity to say thank you to all of you, especially you, Mel. You've been wonderful through this whole process.
My ADD kicks in and goes everywhere. That was my husband. He's running his swimming trucks. Every time I do a video, he come and say hi to everyone. He went outside to smoke cigarettes. What he did. I don't smoke.
No. No,
he does. I did quit, but when I used to smoke and people nagged me about it, I wanted to smoke more. So
you just let him do his thing.
He knows what it can do. He saw what it did to me. I had to have open heart surgery, and so. But anyway, on a happier note, Marie, I love you very much. I love Vinny.
I love you, Dad.
And namaste.
Namaste. And we'll be talking, but namaste.
Don't click off yet. I'm just going to end the recording and we'll talk after. Okay, everybody. Bye. Subscribe.
Bye, everybody.
And everybody send those positive vibes for Vinny. All righty.
Bye, everybody.
All right. And there was a recording pause.